Hello everyone, I'm Law of the West, and welcome back to the Star Citizen Update Report, where I take information from this week's ATV, RTV, and Calling All Dev episodes and condense it down for you into digestible-sized portions. I thought it'd be appropriate to start off by doing a little mining while I was talking about the first series of updates, which, not surprisingly too much, are going to be all about mining. The next logical place to take mining is going to be into space, and in the 3.3 update, this is exactly what they're going to be doing. Generally, mineable rocks are going to be a bit harder to find in space, and they're going to be distanced out a lot further apart from one another. They're also going to look and break a little differently from the rocks that are found planetside. Mining in space is going to work very similarly to how it works on the surface, except overcharging the rock is going to be a lot more detrimental in space, because once the rock explodes, the pieces are going to go off in every direction, and are going to be a lot less likely to slow down in their trajectory. So the more you've overcharged the rock when it cracks, the faster and further off in every direction the pieces are going to go, forcing you to have to run off after them in order to collect every piece. The extractor beam is also going to extract faster if you keep it centered in the same position on a rock, and consequently will extract slower if you're moving the beam all over the place around the rock like a spaz. So a rock that's tumbling through space after you've cracked it will take a lot more time to extract than it would from a stationary one, making it once again very important to keep the overcharging down to a minimum when you crack a rock in order to reduce this effect. Another update to mining comes from the environmental team, which have been working to create new looks for the mineable rocks that can be found on the moon's and planet's surface. Here you can see new types of mineable rocks that can be found in the acidic biomes of Hurston and its moon Ariel. They're also making improvements to the existing rock generating pipeline so they can create a larger variety of shapes. The audio team has been working on a new feature which they've aptly named the Listener Focus feature. This is going to allow you to focus in and listen to specific audio cues even when in a crowded room. So when you're looking at someone, say a bartender, this feature will allow you to hear what he has to say a lot clearer by toning down the background noise that's going on around you. Simple in concept, and very effective in practice. They're also working on AI-controlled civilian ships, which are going to be continuously touching down and taking off in the landing zones in Lorville. They're programmed to stay for a while after landing, and then take off, head off into orbit, and then quantum travel to a new location. The devs have already talked about having what they refer to as zombies for some time now. These are AI-controlled characters who can independently get out of bed, pull a ship, take off from Olisar and fly around, mainly to help fill out the servers when they're testing. And this idea is taking things a step further, where an AI could quantum travel to a location, land, do what they need to do, take off again, and head off to another spot. Which, if you really think about it, this is also going to be the first step in creating a dynamic economy where haulers are continuously bringing goods from station to station to replenish their stock, keeping those prices fluctuating and providing some nice fat targets for pirates to have some fun with. After all, the universe is going to eventually be populated by nearly 80% AIs, and it looks like they're starting to take the first steps to actually making this happen. During the recent Calling All Devs episode, the environmental team was called out on how they plan to make something so iconic as the Earth look even halfway believable when it's going to be made at a quarter scale. To which Eddie Hildrich came through like a champ with his answer by admitting that recreating the Earth in-game goes well beyond a matter of scale. And with the amount of biomes and variety found within it, it's going to be outside of their current level of technology to be able to do. They're not where they need to be to create something as complex as the Earth, at least not quite yet. But every improvement to their tech brings them a step closer to being able to make it a reality. Hurston alone brings the addition of water and huge cities that are integrated into the surface of the planet. The question of non-lethal weapons was brought up to one of the devs, who talked a bit about some of the non-lethal options that are already in the game. Things like distortion weapons and EMP burst weapons that can disable ships. And how they wanted to bring that same level to the FPS aspect of the gameplay as well, with weapons that can disrupt helmet visors and turn a soldier's HUD readouts off. They don't have any plans to do specific things like taser and tranquilizer rifles right now, but they do acknowledge that they're going to need these things for bounty hunting. So the actor status system has been set up to easily accommodate for these kinds of weapons and effects. So down the line, you could do things like have a number of med pen variations that provide a variety of effects, including knocking a character out cold. They also talked about adding some kind of navigation to planetside gameplay, which would make it easier to get around the surface of a moon or planet. And although they said that focusing on core gameplay is more of a concern at this time, there's definitely going to be some kind of navigational aid added in, but the manner in which it's going to appear is still open at this time. And lastly, they talked about interior flare decorations for ships that goes beyond just dashboard decorations and hangar-style flare. The interior of ships are made from multiple materials, making customizing the color of the interior space far more difficult to do than it is to change the exterior, which is made from a single material. That's not to say they can't or won't do it, but for now they're going to focus on exterior customization in areas like choosing multiple colors for the hull, choosing between different canopy glass colors, getting your name on the ship, or what I assume they meant by that is naming your ship, and changing its numbers, and once again I assume in this instance they're talking about customizing the ship's serial number. So expect to see a whole bunch of NCC 1701s out there. As far as customizing your lights go, interior lights are tied to damage states. You'll be able to choose between multiple light states, like the auxiliary state that happens when your ship is spawned but not powered up yet, or normal running lights, or emergency lights that you can use to let the rest of the crew know that you've entered a dangerous area. So you'll be given base states to choose from, and are then free to choose what kind of lighting you want to display from there. Two other forms of visual changes that your ships are going to undergo are dirt and wear. Eventually ships will start out 100% clean and get progressively more dirty over time, which will be up to the player to clean up if they want. I don't know if they're planning on adding space car washes into the game, or maybe that'll end up being the job you give to whichever member of the crew ends up sucking the hardest during a mission. Wear is going to be another thing that will enact a physical change to the ship's overall appearance. Being dirty is just going to be a cosmetic change, while wear will indicate a degradation in the ship's performance and will have to be repaired in order to be removed. They are going to be planning on allowing for a certain amount of customization on certain aspects of the interior of the ship. And the specific examples they gave for this were how the Phoenix comes with a conference table or a piano option, and how the 890 might come with a certain amount of tables and chairs, but would also have a variety of alternative looks that could be made available that you could swap them out for, things like that. What I'm personally hoping for is in the future being able to add things in like more weapons racks, or even being able to trade off cargo space for adding additional prisoner containment pods, or even extra beds. But we'll just have to wait and see. Well, that's going to be it for this week's summary report. Take care, and thanks for dropping by.